Good morning, friends. Welcome back to another Wellness Wednesday. I'm back to Wellness Wednesday instead of Unwellness Wednesday. Last week was such a weird fluke. I have been feeling so good and everything has been so awesome. It just hit me totally out of the blue, that food poisoning. And it, knocked me out for a day, but then pretty much back to normal. It was just so bizarre. Just something I'm totally not used to. Anyways, I'm glad that's over with. Hope not to repeat that again. In this video, I want to chat a little bit about intermittent fasting and my experience previously and my more recent experience with playing with it. So I've shared before on my Wellness Wednesdays that I have struggled with intermittent fasting, and it hasn't been something that I have pursued or added to my life because of how deeply I have struggled with it. But there have been some changes recently, and I'm really encouraged about the changes and the effects. So first of all, my previous experience with intermittent fasting. So of course, I've heard about intermittent fasting for years and years since it's become, more popular and more, high profile people have talked about it. And I thought it sounded interesting, made sense. I love the science of intermittent fasting. I think it totally just makes sense. And I actually really started doing deep dive into the science of intermittent fasting and really researching it back when I was pregnant with Levi. So that was now 5 years ago. And of course, I was pregnant with Levi, so I was not intermittent fasting at that point. But that's when I really started learning about it and hearing about it. So it was like I spent a bunch of my pregnancy time and nursing time researching and learning. And I'm like, this is what I'm going to do, to lose the baby weight. And this makes sense. And so I read the Fast Five book by, I forget his name now. It starts with a B. Herring. Bert Herring. Is that right? Actually, I think I read the Fast Five book, but that was not his most recent book at that point. It was the Appetite Correction book, which totally resonated with me. And I was like, this is it. This is the thing. Because I have always been a person that has struggled with a big appetite, just feeling never satisfied and always needing that stomach stretch feeling in order to feel truly satisfied. And the book just described me perfectly and described the answer to my problems, and it made so much sense. And I would listen to the intermittent fasting podcast. I really enjoyed that, learned so much from them, and I was like, this is it. Intermittent fasting is going to be the thing for me. So after I finished nursing Levi, I jumped into intermittent fasting, and I struggled so deeply. I was so sad because I was so on board with the science. I was sure this was going to be it for me. And I really, really gave it a good try. I did the very clean fast. I didn't have, stevia. I didn't have flavored seltzer water like club soda. I would get plain. I would drink black coffee. I did all the things. And I worked myself up painfully to doing a 20-hour fast and a 4-hour eating window, but it was always very painful. And I kept holding out, I'm going to adjust. I know there's an adjustment period. I know it shouldn't be easy right from the beginning. So I'm just going to hold out. It's a little bit windy today. It's nice and cool. But the wind is kind of going crazy. Anyways, so I just kept thinking I was going to adjust, the magic was going to happen and kick in, and never happened. The other thing about it was I had plenty of weight to lose, and I didn't lose any weight. So I had been experimenting with intermittent fasting and gradually, working my way up to the 20-hour fast. And then I got to where I could do the 20-hour fast, and I did that for a solid month. And by the end of it, I felt so bad. I did not adjust. I did not lose any weight. I was like, I just can't do it. And it was really sad because I believed in it so much. And I I couldn't deny the science of it, like on paper. Like, I'm like, it's true. Like, that's true. But my experience with it did not line up with the science. And I had to let go of it, even though I still believed in it. And so that was kind of hard. So then I moved on from that, and that's really when I started playing with carnivore and ketovore and really found that that style of eating was, what was going to be right for me long term. So I got going with that, and I've obviously had incredible experience with that. And I'm so happy to have nailed down like my baseline diet. I know in general what works well for my body now. Obviously, I'm still making tweaks and changes here and there and experimenting with different things. That's going to be a lifelong process. It'll never be completely the same all the time, but I feel like I have a good baseline. So anyways, I really haven't done anything with intermittent fasting for the last few years. I was like, I just have to let it go. But then when I had the light bulb, life-changing experience with electrolytes, I, added electrolytes to my diet. It just changed so much for me as far as my hunger, my satiety, just how I felt. Just so many things in my life changed for the better when I figured out how to balance my electrolytes and start supplementing with electrolytes. And I have a whole video about that. I will put it up in the cards for you guys to check out for that whole story. But ever since then, that was a little over a year ago. Ever since then, I have thought, I wonder if one of my big problems with intermittent fasting was the electrolyte balance. It's like, it has to be, because all the symptoms that I would experience when I was intermittent fasting were electrolyte imbalance symptoms. It just made so much sense. And with how transformative the electrolytes were, I was like, I bet that was a big chunk of my problem. So I've had that in the back of my mind, like, I wonder if I could give intermittent fasting another try. And a few times here and there over the past few months, I would, try just drinking black coffee in the morning and see how I did, because I knew I wasn't going to force being hungry anymore. Like, I'm not into that. And so I was like, I'll just drink the black coffee in the morning and just see how I feel. See if I can, be okay without eating in the morning like usual. And I wouldn't have as bad of symptoms like electrolyte imbalance symptoms, but I really couldn't make it very long in the morning without eating. I really felt like I needed food in the morning. And I listen to my body, at least I try to. And if my body's telling me that I need to eat in the morning, I'm going to listen. And so that's just what I've been doing. I haven't pushed it. But then some more life-changing things took place. Mainly the thing that has happened recently is that I started taking athletic greens. And I talked about this in 2 Wellness Wednesdays ago. Totally reluctant in taking them. I did not want to. I would not have done it if I hadn't seen the improvements that I saw in both my husband and my son taking them. And I was like, I just have to try it so I can know for sure. And I was certain that I was going to take it, and it was either going to, make me feel bad because of the fiber in the greens, or that it just wasn't going to do anything. Neither of those things turned out to be true. Made me feel fantastic. I had no digestive issues whatsoever with the fiber or the green part of it. And it just has been so good for me. My skin health was the main thing that I noticed first. And then I started noticing my satiety changing. And I felt like I've had really good satiety over the last year or more since I've upped my protein. And I've been really happy with it. But taking the athletic greens seems to have taken my satiety to another level. Like, I don't know scientifically the details behind this, but there's something about being hungry for nutrients. If you're missing certain nutrients, your body, stimulates hunger. And I feel like that must be something that I was experiencing at a low level. And then taking the athletic greens, like the nutrient bomb of the athletic greens, it like just quiets that down. So it's like the noise of my hunger and cravings were already very low. Like I feel like I didn't have a lot of that noise already. But taking the athletic greens has like even taken it down another notch. My hunger is so under control and my satiety is so on point that I'm able to eat a meal and just feel completely satisfied. Like I used to have, like I need that little bit of sweet at the end of the meal, or I just want to keep, snacking on things, or I just need a little something. And now it's like my satiety is, it's just like a brick wall. Like I eat my meal until I'm full, and then I'm like, I don't even want more food. And before, it was like I would never get to that point until I was so stuffed that my stomach it was like Thanksgiving stuffed, like the stretch satiety. Because there's different kinds of satiety, because there's satiety hormones, but then there's also like the stomach stretch satiety signal. So there's all these different signals. So whatever it is about the athletic greens and about the nutrients coming in, it has really taken my schmeck to another level. And, schmeck stands for sleep, hunger, mood, energy, and cravings. And it would be the hunger and the cravings part of schmeck that I feel like the athletic greens has put even more in check than it was before. And I'm still shocked because I thought it was so in check before. And I mean, it compared to the way I am when I'm eating carbs and stuff. So I started noticing those trends in my hunger and satiety. And I was like, I wonder if this is the time. I wonder if I'm ready to play with intermittent fasting again. So I did, and it was so different. I could not believe how much better I felt going without eating in the morning. It was like night and day different from when I tried to do it before. Oh, and I did want to clarify that I'm not taking the athletic greens in the morning and then fasting after that, because obviously the athletic greens would break a fast. They have 50 calories per scoop and a couple grams of protein, I think, and a few grams of fiber, a few carbs. Anyway, so I'm not taking that and then saying that I'm fasting after that. What I do is I have my coffee with some unflavored electrolytes in the morning, just black coffee, and I drink just unflavored electrolytes in the morning. And then when I'm ready to break my fast, late morning or lunchtime, I break my fast with the serving of athletic greens, because you're supposed to have it on an empty stomach. So I will have that first thing, and then it's like that takes away my hunger, like, because usually I'm ready to eat at that point, and then I take the athletic greens, and then I'm like, I'm not hungry now. Like my body's like, well, I got all my nutrients, I'm good. And so I feel like I could keep fasting, even though the fast is broken at that point. So what I do is after my athletic greens, I usually wait, 30 minutes or an hour or something, and then I have a cup of coffee with cream. I've been doing my A2 cream that has been working well for me. And so I'll enjoy my morning coffee with cream, even though it's not morning anymore. And then after that, I wait until I'm hungry. And just that I'm able to do that is so mind-boggling to me. Because before, when I attempted intermittent fasting, it was like when I finally did break my fast, I almost had like a hyperphagia response, which is like I have to eat everything in sight because I'm starving to death response, which is so silly. Like I can't even go a morning without eating without feeling like I'm going to starve to death. So I would just struggle with, once I put something in my mouth, it was like I just have to keep eating and eating and eating, and I'd eat way too much. Like it was a trigger for me to eat too much. And so the fact that I can open my window and sip on my athletic greens, and then I feel like having a cup of coffee and drinking that, and I'm not really hungry yet, I think I'll wait, or like take time to prepare my meal. Before, it was like I couldn't prepare a meal in the fasted state because I was so hungry. It was like my body was wanting me to put everything that I was working on into my mouth. So it was like it was like a race to try to prepare food to be able to eat because I was so hungry. But now it's like I could just cook leisurely, sipping on my coffee and prepare my meal and not feel that urgency. And I just can't even describe to you what a night and day difference that has been. So it's been probably 2 weeks now that I have been intermittent fasting. And usually that ends up being somewhere between 14 to 16 hours of a clean fast and then 8 to 10 hours of an eating window. So it's not anything dramatic. It's not like one meal a day or anything. Typically, these days I'm doing 2 meals. So you could call it 2 mad, even though I think that's the silliest name ever. But I have found that I eat my meal whenever I end up eating my full meal. I'm so full that I'm not even tempted to snack in between. So I've been doing 2 very distinct meals, basically, with about, 4 hours or so in between. So that is what I've been doing the past couple of weeks. And I'm just absolutely loving it. Like, just the level of noise in my brain, even though it wasn't at a bad place before, it's like even lower. And that feels really good. So I'm just sharing my experience. I'm not selling Athletic Greens. Like if they want to sponsor me, that'd be awesome. At this point, I'd be all for that. But I was reluctant to take them. It ended up being exactly what my body needed. I am absolutely not going to say that it is going to do the same for your body. Everyone is different. Everyone has different, gaps that need to be filled in. Everyone has different sensitivities. And so by no means am I saying that everyone needs to go out and take this, or that if you do, you will get exactly the same results as I have. As always with my channel and with my Wellness Wednesdays, I am just sharing my experience. I'm not giving any advice whatsoever. I love having an outlet to share and to just kind of put into words what's going on in my life. And so if anyone finds benefit from that, that makes me happy. But I'm not trying to give you any advice, especially medical advice. So that is what is going on with me on this Wellness Wednesday. I put out a video yesterday of a what I eat in a day video that kind of gives you an idea of what it looks like with my little bit of intermittent fasting that I've been doing. And I'm planning to continue to do those kinds of videos and share those with you guys. So if you're interested in seeing what it looks like on a daily basis, that is what I did yesterday and what is coming up soon. And I will leave it there for this Wellness Wednesday. I hope you guys are doing great, and I'll see you again in another one.